Hello and welcome to this CALMC Quick Takes video. My name is Jim Coles and I'm the Executive Director of Columbus Area Labor Management Committee.
And I'm Meredith Porterfield, Program Manager for Columbus Area Labor Management Committee.
As we wrap up our series of programs on consensus decision making, we want to explore some of the frequently asked questions about consensus. So in this and our next program, we're going to take a look at some of those questions and give you some answers and maybe some hints that you can use to help your group reach consensus.
What should we do before we start on consensus?
Before beginning consensus decision making, be sure that your group has a firm foundation that they can build the process upon. Be sure that everybody in the team understands what's expected of them. To do that, you might develop a mission statement for your team. A mission statement defines what the group is about, what the desired task that they're trying to solve is, and why it's important to the entire organization to do so. Establish ground rules or operating norms that explain to each person, this is what we expect of others, this is what you should also expect of yourself. And also identify the group's boundaries. Our boundaries tell us what things are inside the boundaries, things that we should and can work on, as opposed to the things that are outside the boundaries that the group can't control. Be sure you spend your time on those things that are inside the boundaries. Then commit to using consensus decision making for all problems. You can't do it some of the time. You can't do it on selected problems or when it's convenient. It has to be the normal operating procedure for the group. What if we can't come to consensus?
Understand that's a common fear that most groups have, but most groups are able to come to consensus without any problem. What we suggest to groups is that they start out with some small projects or some small problems. Maybe it's those foundational pieces that we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that can help groups not only build some momentum, but provide some practice for consensus decision making. And also that can help to build some trust levels, which can also help with consensus decision making. The other thing that we also see that can help groups is if they get some factual information. A lot of times what groups will do when they're starting out looking at particular problems is they'll want to make some assumptions and try to solve things based on those assumptions or what they think is happening. But once they go out and get that factual information or realize that they need to get that factual information, that helps groups as far as coming to consensus a lot quicker. The other thing that groups need to be aware of is that they need to allow for plenty of time. You don't want to push yourselves, you don't want to put any pressure on yourselves, or you don't want to rush to consensus because you need to make sure that you're providing yourselves with enough time to come up with some really good, solid decisions as far as whatever it is that you're working on. The other thing that we tell groups is that no decision is cut in stone, that what you need to do is come back, revisit your decision, see how it's working. Maybe that's in 6 months, maybe that's in 12 months. And you can do that maybe by using some test runs, some pilot projects, where you can actually come back and see just exactly how the decision is working. That may help you. And another thing that can also help groups come to consensus is the use of a facilitator. A facilitator has some tools and techniques that can help groups come to consensus. It may be that you want to have that facilitator there all the time at all the meetings to help groups come to consensus. Or it may be there's a particular problem that you know is going to provide some difficulty for groups and you want to have a facilitator. That might be something you want to do. Doesn't consensus decision making take a long time?
Yes, it can take time, but it probably takes less time than making a decision quickly and then going back and having to fix it or repair things at later meetings. The decision arrived at with consensus decision making can be better and stronger because more people are involved in the process. As they're involved, they develop a greater understanding of the problem and the issues at hand. Consensus decision making then provides an opportunity to hear more and better ideas as options are developed to solve the problem. It's better than relying on a single solution or one person's idea that everyone may not agree with. A consensus decision making creates more commitment to the ultimate decision by the group. It's better to spend your time finding that good solution or solutions to the problem initially than wasting time making multiple futile attempts and having to come back. Good consensus decision-making process also provides for more communications between members that can help you with later problems as well. How long should we try to come to consensus before we give up?
There's no single answer to that. It just depends on the group, and it depends on the problem that the group is working on. What is important, though, is to be patient. And it's not so much the time element that's the concern as much as it is how you're going about it. Are you gathering all the information that you need to? Are you listening to everybody within the group? Are you concentrating on what they say? Are you participating in the conversation? Are you utilizing problem-solving tools like you need to be doing? Are you coming up with some new ideas and some new ways of doing things that can help the group? There's also some techniques out there that can help to accelerate consensus. It's not something we're going to be talking about in this presentation, but we'll be talking about it in future presentations, and that can help as well.
Thanks for joining us today. Be sure and watch for the next program in our series, in which we'll continue to look at our frequently asked questions about the consensus decision-making process.